In the year 1997, the future is in chaos and turmoil. Mankind is on the brink of extinction. Brave survivors band together and build a time displacement apparatus to receive a signal from a parallel future. This transmission is the Vundacast.
There's one team that kicks ass. They're assembled. They're the Vundacast. Never back down from the brass. Always start first. Never finish last. Had Moxley, bit too fast. Oh no, they're out of gas. It's okay, they're just a podcast. They're the greatest. We're the Vundacast.
Welcome to the Vundacast, the official podcast of Bundablog.com, and this is a special Vundacast wrestling episode where we're going to talk about some AEW coverage. The last time there was a Vundacast, we did Jason X commentary, myself and Danny, which actually got a surprising amount of downloads, despite the fact that it was about Jason X.
Somehow, whenever we do Friday the 13th, no matter how shitty a Friday the 13th it is, people are into it.
That's why we're gonna keep doing them, baby.
Yeah, right.
All about Friday the 13th. So today we are talking about the aftermath and the surprisingly fantastic pay-per-view that was AEW Revolution 2022. I am your host, Steven, and with me today is our podcast champion, our trivia champion,
Oh, that's right.
our non-binary champion, D-Rock. How you doing?
Reigning, defending. I'm good. I'm excited for some AEW recapping, and it's been a while. It's been a while since we talked about AEW, so I'm ready to get into it.
This was a special pay-per-view. We put it up on the big screen and watched it together.
Yeah, great time.
And we watched a lot of this build together as it was going.
Right, yeah.
The first big, I guess, pay-per-view build for Hangman Adam Page in his time now as champion. And it all started with a little show called The Buy-In.
Yeah, that was I think it's kind of where everybody kind of universally was kind of saying that, like, this has got to be like easily the best buy-in they've ever done. I don't know. I mean, the fact that there were 3 matches on it probably has something to do with that, but they were all really good. Layla Hirsch and Chris Statlander got to do their thing, and Hook and QT had a fun little match, and Hook did a fun little throwback to his dad with a little spot in the corner where they do the, like, it's like a, they do the thing, then they're supposed to go under, but he doesn't go under, he just like hangs back and then chokes him out. Did a little homage to his dad, which was really cool. But the main attraction of the buy-in, I think, was the insane 6-man tag of, oh man, who was it? It was House of Black and Death Triangle. That's easier.
Well, Eric Redbeard and Pac, right, and Penta.
Which was really cool. It was cool to see, when they challenged them for this match. We all thought Alex Abrahantes was going to get in the ring. He was like, oh, no. And then they gave us Eric Redbeard, which was really cool. And yeah, it was just like a really fun match throughout. Especially this one part where the 2 big men get in the ring and got to see some big meaty men slapping meat, which is always fun.
I was very perplexed with Dave Meltzer's ratings for
Yeah.
Revolution because he so badly didn't want to give anybody 5 stars
I know.
that it felt like he was like, you know, he had like calculated his list to just like create like a hierarchy of matches and then meet them with the appropriate point totals.
It's almost like people are starting to get in his head about like how supposedly biased he is towards AEW and how he gives AEW all the match ratings and he's on the payroll or whatever the fuck. And, you know, so like all the matches that he might have normally given 5 stars to, he was like, oh, let me knock him down a peg so that people don't think I'm biased or something like that. Which is, I mean, it's just speculation, obviously, but yeah, I know. It's like there was so many 4 3/4 stars matches that it feels like he was just like trying really hard not to give any match 5 stars.
I liked the Statlander versus Hirsch match, but I felt like overall, like this match could have been on Rampage or on Dynamite. Like it didn't really need to be a pay-per-view match. And I'm down with like their long pay-per-view schedules because they only do 4 pay-per-views a year. So it's not too tedious. But you know, that match was okay and it went an unexpected way for me with Layla getting the win, which was a nice bit of prestige to put on her character that I don't think she's really gotten that type of rub before, especially on a pay-per-view.
Right.
I love every Hook match. It's always fun and it's always nice after a Hook match to go on Twitter and see, you know, all of the sources that Hook is referencing and that they're using when they're, you know, carefully crafting these fantastic squash matches. QT Marshall is just so good at selling. It's just fantastic.
He's great. He's such a good workhorse for, you know, and for making other people look good. And he's, you know, he's a really good old school wrestler in his own right. And, you know, I don't think he gets enough love for what he does for people sometimes.
I think that they really need to give him like a win over somebody pretty soon because he's kind of just gotten just punked out so hard.
Yeah, he's becoming such a doormat. It'd be good to see him get like, even if it's on like Dark or something, just like give him a couple of like meaningless wins so that people see that he's like an actual wrestler who can actually beat people. Would be nice for sure.
He needs some teeth again.
Right.
And
yeah.
I really liked this 6-man match. I think it's all the more reason why AEW needs trios titles.
Yes.
They can consistently, you know, deliver like this really impressive 6-man style that is just so dynamic and so fun and lets everybody, you know,
I read somewhere that it's probably not going to happen until Kenny Omega comes back.
And then he'll end up booking the trios division.
Yeah. Right. I mean, that's kind of, you know, like he's been part of so many of those great 6-man tags, and he's always a really good anchor for those types of matches where a million different things are happening at once. Speaking of a million different things happening at once, it was actually really funny when we were watching this live. We ordered pizza, and as soon as the pizza got here and Steven left the room, like immediately everyone hit all of the moves and the match just like kicked into like 5th gear. It was just kind of funny that Steven missed like the whole thing.
I'm simply the best. What can I say?
Yeah.
I got sprayed with the black mist of pizza. What do you want?
He's the Blitz. If anybody gets that How I Met Your Mother reference.
And the pizza driver was like super lost. Like he like passed by the house once and then marked it as delivered, and I was like, what the fuck?
Oh shit.
I have to like go down the street and like wave them down. So
Yeah.
I did it for the cause. After the buy-in. Who won this? Did the House of Black win? I don't even remember.
Yes. Yeah, I'm pretty sure, yeah. I mean, it makes sense for them, they're still being built as this like important faction in AEW with two guys that have not been here that long. So it definitely makes sense for them to get the W. But yeah, great match, great buy-in. And
do you think they're gonna keep Eric Redbeard around?
I hope so. I would love to see more of Eric Redbeard. I mean, he's not like an amazing talent or anything, but he provides a dynamic that I think AEW doesn't have that much. Like they have a lot of big guys, but they don't have a lot of these like huge, like really scruffy and like hard-nosed badass dudes. They're getting, I mean, like Brody King is another one that like, there's not a lot of, there's a lot of big guys in AEW, but not a lot that are like that, like really rough cut kind of, and like really, really huge guy that's like, like a I don't know if they're 7 feet but they're like, approaching 7 feet. And there's not many of that kind of big guy in AEW. They have a lot of like somewhat more athletic or just like big burly guys, but not a lot of like rough, big beardy, hairy, rough hardcore guys.
Yeah, I think he could be a good fit. I think he should be put in like a Miro type position where he's like always in the wings as a possibility, to have an ankle.
Yeah, we haven't seen a lot of Miro, and I'm starting to wonder about that. I figured they were, holding him back till after the pay-per-view, but we've had a Dynamite and a Rampage, and we still haven't seen him. So it should be interesting to see what happens there.
I think he's healing.
Well, he's the word is that he's healthy and he's just waiting for creative, whatever that means. So I figured that meant that like they wanted to finish the pay-per-view cycle and then like do something with him. So hopefully they will.
So the
first match, yes. First match was Eddie Kingston kicking off another pay-per-view against Chris Jericho, which was, I don't want to say surprisingly good, because for me, like Eddie Kingston is so good at so many things. And so, and Chris Jericho is still Chris Jericho. As much as I am not the biggest fan of what he's been doing lately, he's still Chris Jericho. And they had a really awesome match, and Eddie looked great, and he tapped out Chris Jericho, which I definitely didn't expect, which was really cool. And I think the storytelling aspect of it was even better with like the whole, this whole feud has been kind of Jericho, the sports entertainer, versus Eddie Kingston, the like hardcore fucking fighter. Like not even, he's a great wrestler, but he's more, of a brawler, even though he does have a lot of technical ability. And so the kind of what they did with the handshake and Eddie kind of like mocking him after the match, and then Jericho refusing the handshake and turning it over into Dynamite, with Eddie giving another amazing promo about the people that came up to him at FanFest and, told him that they're alive because of the thing that he wrote and all this stuff, and to do all that. And then, to set up a really great heel turn by Jericho on, I was about to be very disappointed in Santana and Ortiz for like coming back to Jericho after all of that. I was really excited to see them go out on their own, and ended up, just getting the rug pulled out from under them, which I think is really great. And now we have not Inner Circle 2.0 like everybody said it should be, but the Jericho Appreciation Society, which I also think is kind of the perfect stupid name for this new faction. And I'm looking forward to seeing where that goes, even though I wish, we never got, Moxley and Danielson sort of pitching their pitch to 2.0 and Daniel Garcia, because they had been mentioned in the past with that. So, but I like this. I like this new faction, and it makes so much sense in terms of like Inner Circle has sort of served its purpose at this point. Everyone in it has kind of, Proud and Powerful doesn't need it anymore. Sammy certainly doesn't need it anymore. And so give the rub to some guys that really do need it. And also putting them in a feud with some guys who could use a little bit of a rub, especially Proud and Powerful, like being on their own for the first time, really the first time in AEW that they've been not in the Inner Circle. So I think it works really well in a number of different ways.
Yeah, I was really shocked at the pay-per-view that the match had a clean finish. I was expecting some chicanery to screw Eddie Kingston or something. So I was really happy that he won. I thought that was cool. I like the direction they're going with the Jericho Appreciation Society. I don't know if it's mattered whether or not Jericho broke up the Inner Circle or MJF did.
Mm-hmm.
But I guess it serves Jericho to be the one to break up the society. Did you see their shirt, the Jericho Appreciation Society shirt?
No.
Oh, let me pull it up. It's pretty. It's as lame as you would imagine.
That's great. I also like I liked the part where at the end of it, Jericho goes, "That's entertainment." And now it makes so much more sense why he decided to file a trademark for sports entertainment. I remember when that news came out, I was like, what is that about? That's so weird. But now it all makes sense.
So I guess this is their new logo.
That's
Jericho
so dumb. I love it.
JAS.
That's great.
In gold, of course.
Yeah, of course.
Available right now for $25 at Shop AEW. If you want to join the society.
Yeah. I also, the fact that it's called the Jericho Appreciation Society, I really hope that Jericho like revives his whole "I never got my thank you" gimmick, because this is the perfect opportunity to like, be extra even more annoying about that and like revive it when nobody even cares.
If there's one hope that I have for this group, it's that 2.0 win some gold while they're in the group.
Mm-hmm.
And, Daniel Garcia and Jake Hager get some big wins while they're in the group.
Championships!
To make it, worth it. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I mean, at the very least, I would love to see them like start getting some title shots and like, justify this being their new direction with, it's benefiting them.
And I have to say, I'm a little disappointed overall in the Inner Circle storytelling, that we never got to see a moment where the Inner Circle enjoyed or acknowledged Sammy as TNT champion, like in a celebratory way.
Yeah.
And, have Jake Hager, appreciate the fact that Sammy was the one who made the championships promise,
Right. Yeah, I mean, at the same time, it kind of further makes sense, right? Like that this would happen just because, you know, no, their bonds are so loose and tenuous and have been, you know, ever since the feud with the Pinnacle ended. They both groups have kind of felt a little bit, you know, um tenuous in terms of their bonds, and they're all kind of doing a lot of stuff out on their own and not really, you know, you never see all of them together. um and so, you know, and even with the Pinnacle, like the Pinnacle's still a thing, I guess, but you really don't see them together very much, or helping each other out, or doing anything with each other. Maybe every now and then one of them or two of them will help another one, but you know, they never like come out together or like hang out together or anything like that. So I'm also impressed. I feel like every time we see Daniel Garcia, he's getting a little bit bigger, which I think was one of the biggest complaints people had about him, was that he needs to put a little bit of muscle on his frame. And, you know, once he gets to, you know, maybe puts another, you know, like 20 or 30 pounds on, he's gonna be ready for the big time, I think. Right. So next up we have the tag title match between Jurassic Express, the Young Bucks, and Red Dragon, which was every bit as insane as we all expected it would be. You know, I'm really glad that they gave Jurassic Express the win here. I don't really feel like, you know, the Young Bucks probably never need to win the tag titles ever again, or at least for not for like another 5 years or so, or something like that. They're, you know, they're the last team that needs that rub of the tag titles. Maybe as like a transitional championship just to pad uh their record. But and Red Dragon, I think, you know, they're okay without the titles too, I think, and especially with the, you know, the sort of somewhat feud they've been having with the Young Bucks, and you know, that can come to a head, and you can have that match and it doesn't need a title attached to it to be a draw. One thing I that stands out about this match for me, not in a bad way exactly, but I actually kind of liked how stupid it was that the Bucks and Red Dragon kept getting mad at each other for like trying to win the match.
Yeah.
Like, what did you think was going to happen? Like, you can work together, but at some point someone has to win the match, and how are you going to like get mad at the other team for trying to win the match? Also, Kyle O'Reilly is just great, and I'm happy. I'm excited to see more of him, especially like his comedy moments are so hilarious. Where like that was early in the match, he was the one that like got mad at Matt Jackson for like going for a pin, and Matt Jackson was like, "Oh, okay, yeah, we have a deal." And then Kyle O'Reilly goes for a pin, and Matt Jackson's like, "What the hell?" And Kyle O'Reilly's like, "Oh, I forgot. Sorry."
I'm not a Kylo O'Reilly guy. I like Bobby Fish better.
Really?
Yeah.
I mean, we haven't seen that much of Kyle O'Reilly yet.
Yeah.
At least not in terms of like his personality, but he's got some charisma, and he's a really, really good wrestler. So is Bobby Fish. And they both had singles runs in other places like in New Japan and on the indies, where they've had some really great matches. So I'm looking forward to seeing more of both of them, both in a tag capacity and hopefully some singles matches too.
I was really surprised that Luchasaurus and Jungle Boy won. I thought this was being that it was a triple threat, that you know, the odds are stacked against them to get out there with their titles, that they don't even have to be the ones who get pinned to beat it. But it was a good match. Typical, you know, Young Bucks flippy dippy match. But I think the guy who came out of the match looking the best and, you know, proving that he's worthy of being a tag team champion was Luchasaurus. Luchasaurus had a bunch of great moments. He got to look, you know, super strong, just choke slamming and flipping out Red Dragon and the Young Bucks.
He had that great, he did like the kip up into the double choke slam. That was super cool.
Yeah. So I think it was a great match, and it was great for Luchasaurus especially.
Yeah, and I think also like Jungle Boy just like sort of anchoring that match in terms of being, you know, the guy, like the dynamic with Jurassic Express is, you know, it's pretty uniform for their matches. Not in a bad way. I mean, they have a dynamic that works where Jungle Boy kind of takes all the punishment and then gets the hot tag in to Luchasaurus. And I thought, especially in this match, that Jungle Boy, his part of that was really well done, with him having to overcome not just 2 other guys, but 4 other guys, and the way that he kind of had to weave through all 4 guys to try to get to that tag was also really well done. And I think he also has definitely proven his worth and his deservingness of being referred to as one of the 4 pillars of AEW.
And that led to another tag team championship defense versus the Acclaimed, who I wish that the Acclaimed had gotten a little more time to build up a story on there, you know, with a feud versus Jungle Boy and Luchasaurus, just to at least get a video segment or a couple promos, because we saw how great they were with their small short feud with Sting and Darby Allin, where they made that whole music video, you know, parodying them. And I think that we would have been rife for some Luchasaurus Jungle Boy parodies. That I think we've been robbed of, but hopefully the Acclaim can get another title shot.
I hope
and
so.
We can get a rematch.
I think part of it was like, I think there are certain matches that they book that, like, you know, that they kind of know that there's really no possible way for them to convince anyone that anything other than the result that they're expecting is what's going to happen. And so they kind of tend to not put as much, you know, time and effort into, you know, building a match like that, because it's sort of maybe a waste, not a waste, but, you know, it's kind of like, you know,
their TV time is very, very valuable, you know?
Right. And we don't want to like create a whole build to something that everyone knows what the result is going to be. But yeah, I mean, I think also I agree with everything that you said. I would love to see, you know, the Acclaimed get more time in general. I mean, to be hilarious and awesome, and they're really good.
What was next on Revolution?
There was also we should mention that there was a Cutler Cams segment on Dynamite that Steven hated, because he hates the Young Bucks segments on AEW always.
I wouldn't hate their segments as much if they didn't have as many segments. You know what I mean?
Yeah, that's true.
If they had less segments, I'd have less to be annoyed at. That's
kind of how I feel, weirdly enough, about BTE. Like, even though it's their show, like, I wish there was less of them on it. You know, like, everything else on BTE, I think, is way more entertaining than the Young Bucks just snarking at the camera.
You sound like somebody who's watching Seinfeld and is like, why can't this show just be about Kramer? I don't get it.
I mean, that's not a wrong opinion. I think, like, I mean, one of the things about Seinfeld, like, the best part about Seinfeld is, like, every other character besides the main four. Like, all the side characters are, like, the best part.
It's
But
fun.
anyway, but we're getting off the rails. Next up was the Face of the Revolution ladder match, which this is as good a spot as any to talk about, like, how this pay-per-view was paced, because I'm not sure this is the right spot for this match. Like, you just got done with this crazy out of control flippy dippy tag match, and then you're gonna put a crazy out of control ladder match right after that.
I think things could have been spaced better, because, like, literally the crowd, they saw two matches that were 1v1, then they saw the 6-man tag, then they saw a 1v1, then they saw the 6-person triple threat, and then another 6-person ladder match. Like, this could have been moved up. I think that this definitely had to go on early, though.
Yeah.
Because you wanted Wardlow's storyline to be established before the MJF match.
Yeah. Yeah, no, that is true. It's just a shame that it really, I mean, it killed the crowd for Jade and Tay's match. I mean, those poor women, like, worked their butts off, and, you know, the crowd was just so dead.
I didn't even notice because I was white hot.
Yeah, of course, right. I mean, it was a great match. It was a little short, but it was a great match, but we're getting ahead of ourselves. The ladder match was also
Face of the Revolution ladder match.
Fantastic match. We have to talk, of course. I mean, not, you know, I have to, you know, analyze it or anything, but that Orange Cassidy spot was so friggin' cool. Jim Cornette can go stuff himself, talking about how Orange Cassidy being in that match diminishes everyone else and like just ruins it for everybody. Like, fuck that. He justified his spot in that match just with that spot alone. So that was one of the coolest things I've ever seen.
I mean, doesn't the fact that he got injured, like,
right,
make everyone seem tougher in the match? I mean,
well, and the complaint was like, oh, he gets in there and he starts doing the stupid shin kicks and, like, you know, putting his hands in his pockets. It's Jim Cornette, you know, he's gonna complain about that shit no matter what. But no, the match was awesome, and I really liked that. You know, they obviously really knew what they were doing, putting in, you know, all of the Haas guys, the big guys in this match. And one of the coolest things in the whole match was, I think it was Hobbs and Wardlow who, like, ripped the ladder apart. That was,
like, it was a wishbone at Thanksgiving.
That was so cool. And then, you know, like, Hobbs, I think Hobbs, like, came up behind him because Wardlow just started walking down the ramp and, like, came up behind Wardlow and hit him with it. But that was super cool.
There was also a really cool moment where, like, Hobbs and Ricky were both going after the ring at the same time, and they had to, like, check themselves and be like, oh, so
yeah,
we found the moment now where we can no longer be fully aligned. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
I thought that was a great moment. And I also really liked the surprising tactician logic of Orange Cassidy, that he was the one trying in the most creative ways to just get the ring, win the match, end the match, you know?
Yeah, for sure. I also, you know, of course, we got our first taste of the Keith Lee thing, that his now famous, appearing out of nowhere spot that is always so fun. You got to do that, which was really cool. And we Keith Lee, while we're talking about Keith Lee, unless we have more to say about the ladder match, but talk a little bit more
wins. That's the only thing
about and Wardlow wins, yeah, and that's, I think everyone kind of expected that at this point, but I really loved Keith Lee and his he did a little short program with QT, where QT was like, trying to ask him if he needs the Nightmare Family to watch his back, and he had that great line of I have a pretty big back, so I'm good. And had a fun match with QT on Rampage, which was good. QT got some, actually got some offense in, which was good. And I'm also like super looking forward to Keith Lee having some awesome matches with Nick Comoroto and Powerhouse Hobbs, and hopefully even Ricky Starks at some point. That would be a banger of a match too.
It seems like his first feuds are going to be with Team Taz and with the Factory, which I think that Team Taz is basically like 50% of the people come in, their feud is with Team Taz.
Right.
Like, that's it. You're good at AEW, you got to get through Team Taz.
Right. Well, it's interesting too to see, like, Keith Lee has come into AEW and immediately has pissed off two different factions. And so it's funny, this is sort of the justification of, like, people are always like, why is almost every wrestler in AEW in a faction? And it's like, well, if you think about it now, Keith Lee probably should look into finding himself a faction, because he has two different factions after him. So it makes sense,
Yeah. The other interesting thing is now we live in the post Cody Rhodes leaving AEW world.
That's right.
And, QT's story was so closely tied to Cody Rhodes.
Right.
There's now all the dangling loose ends of, how do you continue to book Brock and Shoddy, and do you keep them a tag team?
Does Arn Anderson have anything to do at this point?
I think he can still, push his son. I think that makes perfect sense.
Yeah, it does.
I was wondering if, skipping ahead, if he might manage FTR or something in the future. I don't know.
Yeah, that would be interesting.
But I would be very interested to see, or at least my booking, if I was going to do something, I think it would be funny if QT sees how popular Hook has become.
Yeah.
And like rebrands the Factory into like the Hook Factory, and basically like starts treating Hook like he treated Cody Rhodes. You know what I mean? I didn't know.
Yeah, I can see that. Also, like, we're at a point right now where we don't really even know what's gonna happen with Cody, because, like, I don't know what happened there, but I think I read somewhere that, like, WWE like took the original offer off the table and gave him a lesser offer, and now he's sort of weighing his options at this point. So it should be interesting to see what actually happens with Cody Rhodes. They were gonna do a program between him and Seth Rollins for WrestleMania, and they had to scrap it and move on to something else because there's not enough time now, with him still, his status still up in the air. So we'll see what happens there.
I
But
hope he comes back home to AEW.
I would be very happy about that. I'm sure some other people might not be as happy, but we can pivot to somebody that actually has come to AEW, which is the next thing up on Revolution. Was we got the introduction of Shane Swerve Strickland, who it seems like his AEW name is just going to be Swerve Strickland. But Swerve is all elite, and I am very excited as a huge fan of his work in Lucha Underground as Killshot and his work in Defy. I saw him a couple times in Defy when I was living in Portland. And even so, I saw a couple of his NXT matches too, and like saw like he was improving from even how good I knew he was. And I think we really got to see that in his first match against Tony Nese on Rampage. Was a fantastic match. And I was particularly impressed with the fact that, this being Swerve's debut match, you always want to look like $1 million in your debut, but not only did he look like $1 million, but he also made Tony Nese look really, really good. He had great selling, and Tony Nese got to control a lot of the match, a lot more than I expected actually, for someone who's just coming in and they're kind of hyping him up. And I hope that Tony Nese gets to sort of continue some of the momentum that he got out of this match, just because he lost, but he still got to look really good. And I think he came out of this looking strong as well.
I think it's very interesting that that they put Swerve up against Tony Nese as his first opponent. Tony Nese has been hanging around AEW for a good while now and just kind of hanging out on the sidelines. And we've seen people like Leo Rush and Keith Lee, and now Swerve even come in and be way bigger deals than Tony Nese. And I like that they're now, returning the favor and going to give him a little bit of a rub again. I think he looked fantastic in this match. Absolutely. I hadn't seen Swerve in this Swerve gimmick. I remember watching him as Killshot in Lucha Underground. But yeah, I'm super impressed. Would love to see Swerve beat the shit out of the Young Bucks. I think that would be really cool.
You just want everybody to beat the shit out of the Young Bucks.
Yeah, that's the first thing I'm always hoping for when a new hire comes in. I'm like, how can they beat up the Young Bucks? Let me know. And he reminds me of dashing Chris Bay on Impact.
Interesting.
Who is one of the new members of the Bullet Club.
Right.
And I would love to see Swerve versus Chris Bay. I think that would be a really bomb match.
That would be very cool. Yeah.
So I'm excited that he's on the roster now.
I'm really excited. The first time actually that I ever saw Darby Allin was in Defy in a match against Swerve. They had a big feud in Defy. Particularly like Swerve was starting to show up in other places. I think he showed up in Impact, and he like won the Impact title from Austin Aries at some point. And Darby was kind of the guy that was like, I'm a Defy guy, and this is my promotion, and you're just kind of passing through and going other places and stuff. And they had a really, really great match that like, put Darby on the map for me. That was, I became a Darby Allin fan instantly seeing that match, and they have a lot of history, and I'm really looking forward to the day when they cross paths in AEW. Because even before Swerve came to AEW, he on Twitter when Darby had his shot at the TNT title in the triple threat match a few weeks ago or a few days ago. Swerve posted a tweet. It was like, I think it was a picture of them together in Defy, and the caption was "Good luck." So that'll be really fun to see them together. You know, even see like Swerve go up against some of the old Lucha Underground people, and you know, maybe at some point a former army buddy will show up, and they'll maybe we could get AR Fox in here and revive the Hell of War match, which for me, that's one of my like all-time top 10 matches. So yeah, a lot of great possibilities for Swerve, and also really great that they have, you know, in the past like month or so, they brought in 2 black wrestlers who are like have like main event potential, like star potential, which is really great for AEW.
Hopefully they last longer than Leah Rush did.
Yeah, for sure. Oh man, I wish we could get Leo Rush back in the fold, but you know, I guess shit happens. So
Yeah. Shit
So
happens.
speaking of black champions, we have Jade Cargill versus Tay Conti next for the TBS championship, which was really good match. I loved so much about the pre-match. Also, like Tay's face paint was fucking great. What is it, Tay or Ty? I think it's Ty. I think I'm pronouncing that wrong. It's Ty Conti.
It's acceptable to say Tay because their tag team is called Tay J. So.
Oh, that's right. But also Jade coming out in her Mortal Kombat Jade cosplay was super cool, and she did the Kiss of Death, which technically I think that's a Melina move. Not WWE Melina, like Mortal Kombat Melina. But close enough. And I'm so here for it. And the internet exploded, of course. And I love also that they're like making her Kiss of Death into like an actual thing. She did a whole promo about it on Dynamite, and that is super awesome. And
well, it created so much buzz on Twitter. I think it's only smart to lean into it.
Yeah,
and
for sure.
I love that they gave her a special intro with her guitarist coming out and playing.
Oh yeah, that was so cool.
And this was my favorite match of the night. Like, I don't need a long, complicated, 30-minute match.
Yeah.
I like, some good storytelling, a little bit of ups and downs, good guy trying to win, keep it simple. And I think this was perfect storytelling, and I love Jade Cargill as a champion.
Mm-hmm.
I was worried that she couldn't pull it off and have this type of run, but so far everything she does is gold.
Yeah, I mean, she just very clearly it reminds me a little bit of Britt Baker last year, where like it's at a point now where every time we see her, she's like visibly improving in the ring, and it's really cool to see, especially now seeing like she's getting trained by Bryan Danielson, and like it shows she's improving so much, and she's I don't know who's gonna beat her, to be honest. I mean, who could you put over this person at this point? She's so dominant. She's such a surefire star, and like the whoever's going over her to take away to end the streak has to be somebody that you like are big time invested in and pushing hard, and like know for sure that they're gonna be the next like big thing, you know.
If I were booking this on my phone, I would put, both belts on Jade Cargill before I have anyone beat her.
Interesting.
I'd make her a double champ, make her a double women's champ.
That would be a money match too. Her and Britt Baker in a title versus title would be a draw for sure. And that would be that'd be a great like a main event for one of the like special edition Dynamite episodes. Like if they bring back like Fighter Fest or Fight for the Fallen.
I would want to see it at Battle for the Belts.
That's perfect. Yeah.
Fun.
The ultimate Battle for the Belts match. Yeah, for sure. Totally.
And then it gives a chance for, two people to beat her and get the ultimate, rub off of it.
Right. You could, yeah. I mean, that would kind of make a lot of sense in terms of like who, how to finally give her first loss, where you could do like a triple threat with two other wrestlers for, and it could be a 2 falls match, one for the TBS title and one for the women's title. And sort of you could have her not take a pinfall in that match but still drop one of the belts. And that would be really interesting, and she could keep on saying like, oh, I'm still undefeated, until we get to a point where somebody finally sort of breaks the streak, in earnest.
She has to get tired eventually, like after defending this thing, eventually.
Yeah. There's been some back and forth on Twitter between her and Athena, formerly known as Ember Moon in WWE, which would be a fucking great match. I would love to see that. And many of us have been dying for a long time. AEW's been signing all these people, but they haven't signed any of the women free agents, and there's some really good ones out there, but with Taya Valkyrie and Athena and a few others. They brought in Mercedes. That's the one person I think that they brought in since the massive layoffs.
The other dream match that they were flirting with on Twitter afterwards was Jade was responding to Jordan Grace from Impact.
Ooh.
And she's just as strong, if not stronger, than Jade.
Oh yeah.
So that would be an amazing, muscle match to see.
Yeah. I mean, in terms of strength, Jordan Grace probably has quite a bit of strength on Jade Cargill. At least in terms of just like pure muscle. But that would be a really cool match. There's some, I mean, you could book some really interesting stuff with a lot of Impact. I mean, getting Deonna Purrazzo or one of those people to in on it too would be really something.
Yeah, I hope they go open challenge with it for a little bit. That'll be fun.
That'd be great. I mean, that's kind of, what they did with the TNT title for a while, and I think it would be a great, she's been kind of talking about that, and I think Anna Jay might be the next person that like answers the challenge. But I think that's the way to go, especially for if to just in terms of like padding the streak before somebody finally breaks it, just have whoever, have free agents come in, have, people from Impact or wherever come in and try their hand at it. Would be really cool.
I guess now that you have ROH, you could even give Jade 3 belts if you were feeling crazy.
Oh my God, yeah. Just have her, be the new Kenny Omega, just have all the belts.
The gold collector.
Right.
What was next?
Next up, we have CM Punk versus MJF, which was really cool to see, right after the announcement of the purchase of ROH. We get CM Punk coming out to his original ROH theme song, the Miseria Cantare by AFI, and coming out with his original like ROH look with the like basketball shorts kind of thing and all of that, which was really, really cool. And of course, there was a whole discourse on Twitter about like, you know, people getting mad about the fact that they're using this song that not everybody's familiar with. And it's, you know, kind of ridiculous how invested some people are in, you know, the courtship of so-called casual fans who are apparently defined as people who watch wrestling like less than once a month and don't know how to work a computer, I guess.
Yeah. How dare they have Easter eggs?
Yeah, right. I mean, like, you know, it's so much more worth it for all the people who get to feel good about being a wrestling fan for many, many years and get to like appreciate all these cool little Easter eggs and stuff. But whatever. But the match itself was, you know, exactly what it needed to be. Just a perfect, you know, bloody, very methodical, brutal battle. I love MJF has some of the best facials I've seen, like just all the like little moments of him, you know, getting the chain to the face and you know, getting caught in submissions and stuff have been so hilarious. And he's so good at like something that I think is underrated, especially as a heel. But really, I mean, as a face, I think it's even more underrated, where just like, you know, showing some ass, like showing weakness as a wrestler, I think is not something that's done enough. Maybe especially for baby faces. Like you see it a lot in WWE. They're like very staunchly against letting, you know, the babyface wrestlers look weak in any way. And it like it's, you know, it's so important to do that, to let people show weakness and let you see like, oh, this person might lose this match, or this person is not, you know, invincible or whatever. So I think that was really cool. And yeah,
I think it's amazing that Punk and MJF have had, as of this moment, like two of the best matches in AEW this year. Like
yes.
Both of their matches have been just so good. Absolutely. This dog collar match, Jim Cornette did have something to say about this match, and it is that CM Punk is a magician. And that CM Punk, he insinuated, he wouldn't even say it because he didn't want to kayfabe it, but he insinuated that CM Punk bladed in front of everyone and no one had a goddamn clue, and that he was that good, and that CM Punk is on like another level right now, and I can't really,
I mean, as good as his entire career has been, he has been as good as he's ever been in his run in AEW. I mean, all of the like, I don't know, but I feel like their first match was like even better than this one. This one was great. It just was, it was so methodical. It got a little bit slow at times, but like not in a bad way. But the first match was like I mean, that was,
I just feel like you kind of have to put both matches together.
Yeah.
Because they're the same story, and right. This match has the payoff that builds to Wardlow, which
exactly.
we didn't even hear from MJF this week after this loss.
Right,
Dynamite,
that's right.
Which this is probably one of the few Dynamites that we've ever seen without any MJF. Which
or
just
CM
means,
Punk.
that when he strikes again, like it's gonna be all the more crazy. Like he is definitely coming into play in this Wardlow Scorpio Sky match.
Right.
Whether
Yeah, I mean this whole feud between Punk and MJF has been like, I mean, I have a hard time not putting it like the best feud that AEW's ever done. I know the Hangman storyline is definitely up there too. But this feud has just shown us, I mean, the one of the best things you can do with a feud is where both guys are changed in some way as a result of the feud. And this feud has changed both of these characters, the CM Punk character and the MJF character, have changed in the eyes of the fans as a result of this feud. And I think you're especially going to see that with MJF when he does come back. I think this feud has in some way leveled him up or like evolved him in some way. And, you know, it might not be readily apparent right off the bat or, you know, obvious, but I really think that what he's been through has changed the MJF character in some fundamental way. And I think going forward, we're going to see more of that. And, you know, and also he brought something out of CM Punk that we haven't seen yet in AEW and probably never saw in WWE either. I mean, I don't think we've seen this side of CM Punk since he was in Ring of Honor. And I think going forward, you're going to see more of that from him too. And I'm really, really excited to see where each of them goes in their trajectory of their character development in AEW.
what was next after Punk and MJF killed everyone?
Next up was Britt Baker and Thunder Rosa, the women's title match.
Hard spot to follow.
Hard to follow, yeah.
Huge match that has been a year in the making, a year plus.
Oh, wait, before we get to this, we touched on it quickly. Wardlow's turn on MJF, but I feel like we should give a little bit more time just because it was so well done. They gave us so many of these little tease moments where we were like, oh, is he going to turn now? Is this the moment? And finally ended up doing it at the best possible time. And the way that Wardlow did it, where like looking for the ring and like exaggeratedly like, oh man, where did I put the ring? And then finally like, and he does that great little oops, and he just sets the ring. It just like the proof of how good this was, how hard the crowd popped for Wardlow putting a ring down on the mat. Like the crowd went nuts. Mm-hmm. And it was because it was just so perfectly done. And then that leading into his promo on Dynamite, we didn't talk about yet, which was fantastic. I legit did not think Wardlow was that good on the mic. I saw some people saying like, have we ever seen Wardlow talk? Which we have, but he wasn't nearly this good. And I don't think anybody realized that he had these kind of mic skills. He has to have been working on his promo work for months now, and leading up to this, knowing that eventually he was going to turn on MJF and then he was going to have to give this promo, and how important this promo was going to be for that storyline to work. And he just knocked it out of the park, man. I couldn't have been more impressed with his promo.
And now he can have a big feud with the Pinnacle. You can have the big Sean Spears match, maybe even a Dax and Cash match.
And you got to think that the plan is Wardlow versus MJF at Double or Nothing. Like that's the money right there. I mean, that will sell big time, I think.
Maybe I don't know. It's a long way till Double or Nothing. So
it is, and I think that's good. You got plenty of time to have him go through all of the other Pinnacle members and do the push and pull of is Max gonna like keep him on contract and force him to, you know, keep being his little manservant, and is he gonna go along with it, or is he just gonna breach his contract, and what happens if he does that? All those little things that you can do leading up to, you know, the end of May.
Will Max even let him get his title shot?
Right, exactly.
Will, at the last minute, he just be tapped out of the match and he just take over and MJF wins the TNT title, or MJF tries to insert himself in the match and they both screw each other out of the TNT title.
Right.
And Scorpio retains.
Yeah. And I think that's probably the way to go. I really don't see them taking the title off of Scorpio Sky within a week. I mean, he's been undefeated for, you know, almost a year now.
Yo. That undefeated streak is on AEW Dark. Okay. I think that is
but
a little hyperbolic how they're building up the streak that
okay,
but on AEW Dark.
But even still, like, you know, they've been building to Scorpio Sky getting his title shot for months and having him talk about, you know, how he's, you know, everyone's getting to go ahead of him in the line, and he finally has won the title. I just don't see them taking it off of him to put it on Wardlow a week later.
I wonder if Cody had stayed, if it would have been Cody dropping the title to Scorpio or not, or what, or if it would have been a triple threat, or what it would have been.
Yeah, that it does beg the question of like when
that question.
Well, and when he won the title from Sammy and then dropped it back to him almost immediately, was he supposed to keep the title for a while, and then they realized, well, he might not be coming back, we should probably take the title off of him just in case. You know, you have to wonder if he was meant to have a longer run with the title and they just didn't know if he was coming back. But yeah. Anyway, so now we come to the women's title match, Britt Baker and Thunder Rosa. I will say, I don't think the build to this has been as bad as some people say it has been, but I definitely agree that it should have been much better. It really, you know, we've been waiting for this feud ever since the unsanctioned match, the, you know, match of the year of last year in AEW. And, you know, everyone's been saying that Thunder Rosa has to be the one to take the title off of Britt. And, you know, it was so eagerly anticipated. And that might be part of the reason why people might have psyched themselves out and expected more than AEW could deliver, maybe. But yeah, I mean, it just wasn't, you know, I mean, I think the whole thing with, you know, Britt hiring Mercedes to take her out and all of that, you know, like that was fine. But I think, you know, they needed to elevate this to the blood feud that it was when they had their first really memorable match, and they really didn't. And I think the match itself kind of suffered a little bit from that, and combine that with the fact that they had to follow CM Punk and MJF, and I mean, it just, yeah, the crowd was really dead. and it's a shame.
I don't think that they gave Thunder Rosa enough on Dynamite and Rampage to build this match, and her as a, you know, babyface, you know, a babyface, huge babyface threat. I don't think they did enough. I don't think she did the promo that makes you, you know, want to see this huge match.
Right.
I don't think she went far enough. I
Yeah,
think
I mean,
in San Antonio at St. Patrick's Day Slam, I think their cage match, she's definitely going to pull out all the stops, and it's going to be crazy.
Right.
And we'll see if she deserves this title or not, and is going to get it.
Yeah, and I think that Thunder Rosa just hasn't really had enough agency in this whole feud. I mean, just the fact that like she wins the match to get another title shot, and immediately Tony Schiavone is like, oh, it's going to be in a steel cage. Like, she should be demanding that it's in a steel cage. She needs to be like the driving force behind all of this. We needed to see like weeks and weeks of Britt like screwing her over and antagonizing her, and we just didn't really get very much of that. And so, you know, and now everybody kind of knows that the cage match is probably going to be her sort of coronation, and it all kind of feels a little too obvious and a little too cookie cutter and preordained almost at this point. And I feel like there's just not the kind of heat that this match deserves.
And what had to follow this fantastic match where Britt Baker retains
her
new beautiful championship.
Yeah, we should talk about how what a massive upgrade that belt is. And we should also talk about, we also got Jamie Hayter versus Mercedes Martinez on Rampage, which was really awesome, really stiff and hard hitting. And I definitely want to see more of that. And since there's not really another spot for it, we also got a really great tease of the continuation of the Shida Deeb feud, which I'm really, really excited for, especially because Hikaru Shida apparently is going to cut Serena Deeb's head off.
Whoa.
Oh my God, I'm so excited. But what had to follow that was Jon Moxley and Bryan Danielson.
Whoa.
And that was another fucking great, just exactly what it needed to be. You know, there's almost kind of a sparring contest of both guys just trying to like show each other up with violence. And it was, you know, it was really, you know, I mean, it was exactly what you would expect out of these two guys. And also gave us the one of the most unexpected debuts we've seen in AEW of William Regal coming out and, you know, slapping some sense into both guys and giving his really beautiful, amazing promo on Dynamite, where he missed his time cue apparently, but no one cares because it was amazing. And also I loved him sort of like flirting with Tony Schiavone was fucking fantastic.
Yeah, Mox versus Danielson was a really fantastic match. So hard hitting, so good. It's really exciting to see how they're going to be shaping AEW now in the future as a unit. I think it's really exciting. I have no idea what direction they're going to go in now with Regal behind them. I don't know if this even, you know, since Jon Moxley is involved, this is even something that will, you know, have, you know, it's volatile because Mox is involved. Like it could always fall apart because Mox is involved. Yeah. And Regal's promo was superb. I think if you let Regal keep on having promos like this on AEW, people will stop saying that Paul Heyman is the best promo in wrestling
Yeah.
And people will start talking about William Regal being the best promo in wrestling if he can keep this up.
And not only that, but the impact that William Regal is going to have behind the scenes, it can't be overstated. I mean, he is such an incredible wrestling mind, an incredible teacher, and an incredible just, personality backstage. I think that the AEW is never going to be the same with William Regal backstage, and it's gonna improve dramatically, if that's even possible. We should also send a shout out to William Regal, who recently revealed that his health problems are much worse than people realized, and that apparently his heart is working at about 17% capacity.
Oh my God.
And he very likely doesn't have very much time left, which is very sad. So best wishes to William Regal and his health, for sure.
Mox won the match, right?
Yeah, I believe, Mox won the match, and then, Bryan Danielson was very angry about that and kind of attacked him after the match, and that's where Regal came in to get them to quit being little bitches.
So what was next?
Next up was a crazy go nuts 6-man tag. Sting, Darby Allin, and Sammy Guevara versus Andrade, Matt Hardy, and Isaiah Cassidy. Which was, it's funny because everybody was like, what is this match doing on the card for Revolution? And then we got that.
Well, I think before we even start with this match, I think that it's only fair to mention that before this match, Sammy and Andrade and Darby were in a vicious triple threat match for the AEW TNT title. That was, might be one of the best matches of the year too. Like, Sammy is killing it just as much as CM Punk is killing it.
That was that like 15-minute match that was just fucking out of control for all 15 minutes of it. That was a really, really great match. I kind of forgot about that, but yeah, I'm glad you brought that up.
And that was just, days before this completely insane trios match where Sammy pulled out all of his psychotic stops.
Yeah.
He went off of the top of the entrance into two tables. Oh my God.
Mostly just the one, really.
Yeah. And then freaking crazy ass Sting. Hold on.
That was nuts.
The dogs are going crazy. Yeah. So there's Sting going through the tables. A 62-year-old man.
Yeah.
Going through a triple stack of tables.
Unbelievable. I was very impressed that Sting still had that kind of thing in him. But I as insane as this match was, I do still kind of feel like this could have been like a Dynamite match. And like, I think, that you could have used this time to maybe give some more time to the women, or maybe even get another women's match on the card.
It was a great spot for where it was because it kind of woke the crowd up again. After
I kind of felt like I kind of felt like it killed the crowd a little bit before the main event.
Yeah, maybe.
Because it popped the crowd so much.
Maybe. It would have been a good buy-in match if you would have cut stuff from the buy-in.
Yeah, just have like this and the other 6-man tag could have been really cool. And then like Hook and QT.
Yeah.
Oh, that's taking spot away from women. So,
but this is the last match
myself.
of the Andrade Hardy family office. This is their last match. So.
That is true. Yeah, we got the emergency board meeting on Dynamite that led to a beatdown, and then we got Jeff Hardy showing up on Dynamite, dancing his way down. Everybody was making fun of him so hard for dancing down the ramp while his brother was getting beaten up. It's his first time in AEW, y'all. Like, of course he's gonna do the dance. That's his thing. Like, and he did it quick. It wasn't like he was just like wasting time. And fucking Sting and Darby had already sort of saved Matt a little bit, so it's not like he was in like dire jeopardy.
I liked how they built the segment with Private Party standing behind him with their thumbs up and then turning it down. Yeah. I thought that was cool.
Did the Batista thing.
I hope that all of the members of the family office now get a little bit of a makeover and a little bit of an attitude change.
Mm-hmm.
And we get to see what Andrade's influence, how it affects them. Because they definitely have been sort of, the C tier faction on AEW. So I think that this betrayal of Matt Hardy is going to help them out. And also, don't they need like a lawyer? Like Matt Hardy had like litigious paperwork to bind them. Doesn't Mark Sterling have to come in and clean this up? Come on.
Oh yeah, that's a good point. Yeah, but I think I think you hit the nail on the head a little bit, like in terms of like, Andrade can elevate this stable. The stable can elevate Andrade. I think this really works out really well for all of them. Andrade's run in AEW has been not that underwhelming, but it hasn't been what people might have expected. And HFO has definitely been a very like third tier faction, and I think this change could do wonders for everybody involved. So I definitely agree with that.
So the only beef I have with this segment being on this show is that this was the night on AEW of faction betrayals, faction restructuring. Like, this was the night of nights on AEW.
I think it makes sense to do that, like the coming off of the pay-per-view to kind of hit the reset button on a few different things is a good direction, I think, to kind of like really mark the passage from Revolution to the next however long, like the next year or 2 years or whatever it's going to be. And
I don't know. I think that you could space it out a little bit, man. Come on.
Yeah, I mean, you could. I like it. I like the having that like one show where just like a million different things shift and the whole promotion looks a little bit different moving forward, especially in the Fallout episode of a pay-per-view. I think that it works for me. So, and now we've got, there's so many Hardy Boys dream matches that are in the cards now. They had some really sort of legendary matches with the Young Bucks when they were both in Ring of Honor before AEW. and their FTR's there, Lucha Express,
And they can pull up
Lucha
that
Brothers,
tape library now.
Jurassic Express. Yeah, there's a lot of potential, and also potential Jeff Hardy matches with Sammy Guevara and with Darby Allin. Apparently, is one that they seem to be building up to.
Yeah.
But Jeff Hardy and Sammy Guevara, like, somebody might die in that match. That scares me a little bit, but also excites me.
So the other big match that came out of this was Sammy versus Scorpio Sky.
Terrific match.
And Scorpio finally getting a little TNT title gold around his big waist.
I like that they kind of pulled the same sort of thing that they did with Cody when he lost the TNT title, where he was defending the title like every week and getting pushed to his limit every week. And everyone was kind of like, he can't keep this up. Something's gotta come out of this. And the end result was him just getting fucking destroyed by Brody Lee. And he got his win back eventually, but they kind of did the same thing with Sammy here, where he was having these grueling matches over and over and over, and finally he just reached his limit, and apparently like kayfabe injured his ribs and ended up losing the title as a result. And I
think it all very geniusly came from missing and just face planting into a table when Scorpio moved off the table.
That was a nasty bump, man.
And then ever since Sammy missed that big spot, the match just got away from him. I think it was a seminal moment in that it was the first time at least the TNT and TBS audience got to see Ty Conti as Sammy's girlfriend on screen and not just on social media.
Right. And and they kind of fed right into the seemingly forthcoming take Ty Conti and Paige Van Zant feud, and she signed the contract on her butt, which was fantastic.
Yep.
But yeah, great match, great storytelling, and I'm really glad that Scorpio Sky is finally getting his time to shine.
And the only thing that was better than Scorpio winning the title was Ethan Page selling Scorpio winning the title.
Yeah.
As if it was the most, dramatic thing that's ever happened to him in his life.
So good, yeah.
I love it.
I also love that Scorpio posted on Twitter that he is only going to keep one of the TNT belts because he's giving the other one to Dan Lambert to put up in his office with all his other championships, which is kind of the perfect payoff. I feel like the whole thing has been worth it. The whole 2 belts has been worth it just for that.
Yeah. Makes sense.
Yeah. And also we should mention a fantastic match between Darby Allin and Mark Quinn on Rampage also sort of came out of this. And that was really fun. And we also got to see for the first time the Hardy Boys in their old school ring gear, which was super cool. And we got another tease of Darby Allin seemingly eventually going to do something with either the Hardy Boys or Jeff maybe, or have like a Sting tag match with the Hardy Boys or something in the future. So that's exciting.
Yeah, that's all on the horizon. I think they're gonna do Darby and Sting versus the Hardy Boys as their
I think that's that's definitely like the next thing to do for sure. But I think eventually you gotta have Darby and Jeff. You gotta have Sammy and Jeff. I mean, you could even do like a triple threat where like for sure someone's gonna die. but yeah, there's a lot of great potential matchups there for sure. And you also have like the history between Sting and Jeff Hardy is there for the taking too, with their total mess of a TNA Impact match that is now famous for Jeff Hardy showing up in no condition to wrestle.
Yeah, that's yeah. I think in the words of Mark Henry, it's time for the main event.
It's time for the main event. It is. It's true. Adam Page versus Adam Cole. And first of all, of course, we gotta give props to Adam Page for wearing the Pride gear in Florida after the whole bullshit with the Don't Say Gay bill and all of this nonsense. I also, you gotta love all the Adam chants, that was a lot of fun. The Let's Go Adam, Adam sucks, and all of that great stuff.
Yeah, the crowd had to have their fun before they could get into the match. That's what I don't think they were like dead after the trios, the Tornado Trios match. I just think that they had their memes that they wanted to get out of their system before they were ready to invest.
It did go on a little too long. At some point, I just wanted them to like get invested in the match, but it was fun for a while, and I enjoyed it. And the These Are Adams match, the chant was also pretty hilarious.
You can tell that they got into it as soon as they started having to be like, let's go Hangman. You know what I mean?
Right.
Then it was real.
Once the match sort of kicked into the next gear, then they were like, okay, yeah, well, come on, Hangman, It was a good match, but I feel like, they did a table spot. They did a lot of stuff, but I feel like, everything that could have been done in wrestling had already been done in wrestling before this match, unfortunately. Yeah.
And so it had the downside of having to follow simply everything we've seen.
Yeah. I mean, this was a particularly long AEW pay-per-view, and there really was. I mean, we got a dog collar match and a ladder match and a tag scramble that was out of control, and some amazing women's matches and an amazing brawl, and the two crazy 6-man tag match. Like, there's only so much energy that people have, and there's only so many things you can do on a wrestling show, like you said. But they had a great match, and it was what it was. Like, it was a tough spot for both of them, and I think they did an admirable job in the spot that they were put in with everything that came before it. Yeah.
And I think that I think this is gonna be a longer feud, possibly that spans their entire AEW careers, this Adam versus Adam feud.
Yeah.
And I like the way that they're building the next few matches now, with Adam Page assuming that Cole was going to choose the Young Bucks as his partner in a trios match against him.
Yeah.
And then
I wasn't going to choose you anyway.
Not really, supposedly feeling that. And him just having to go with Red Dragon. And then Hangman is now going to team up with Jungle Boy and Luchasaurus.
Yeah, and the wrestling world is aflame with people very nervous that they might end up breaking up Hangman and Dark Order, and I really, really hope they don't. Although, to be fair, they really haven't done that much together in a while. Like, Dark Order will show up to help him out once in a while. but they really haven't like interacted that much outside of like saving him from interference.
And then
But still,
and then Hangman had a big match with Dante
yeah,
to kind of finish up Dante's singles run, I assume.
Yeah, I think this is a really good, it was good to see Paige kind of looking like a fighting champion. You give Dante a future rub, and even going back to tag wrestling, I think that rub helps him and his brother a little bit. And they, I like that they referenced the possibility of doing this again in the future, and I'm sure that they will at some point, because how could they not? And like you said, I think it's interesting that they're gonna be continuing the Adam versus Adam feud apparently through Double or Nothing, unless they're gonna sort of blow it off on like a special Dynamite or something like that. But it kind of seems like this is what they're doing until Kenny gets back. Yeah. Maybe.
I think it would be very interesting if William Regal took an interest in Dante Martin and in Top Flight.
Ooh, yeah.
Since Dante has already proven that he can hang with, Kenny Omega and Hangman.
Yeah, they need the main promo of that like feud, they were talking about, how they want to like show the young guys and mentor the young guys. And so I think this, like, if they're planning on doing a stable with Mox and Danielson, they gotta bring in some young guys, and I think Top Flight is definitely a prime candidate.
And that's entertainment, as Jericho.
That's entertainment. That's for sure.
Any last thoughts on the AEW universe?
Final thoughts. I just, like, as we were talking about everything, it made me realize how exciting the future is. How not just but just like even the near future, like what's going to happen with all the different threads that are going on. There's a lot of great possibilities for things going forward, especially with, Keith Lee coming in, with Swerve coming in, with Jeff Hardy coming in. And, there's guys that have been gone for a while that are hopefully coming back soon, like Kenny Omega and Miro. There's just so much to be excited about in AEW, and I think I didn't even fully realize how exciting the near future and the distant future even is in AEW until we were really like broke things down like this. So I'm really excited. That's my last word.
The only thing I think I haven't put over that I've been excited about is I really like Penta Oscuro.
Yeah.
And I love Dark Alex, and I like having this Dark Penta in AEW. I think that's going to be beneficial to a lot of great wrestling entertainment.
Absolutely. Penta is like the coolest fucking wrestler on the planet, and we really that was one of the things in that 6-man tag. We really got to see like so many fucking super cool Penta spots, and I'm definitely excited to see more Penta Oscuro.
I'm also holding out hope that I'm lighting a candle that Cody Rhodes returns.
Amen, brother.
And that he challenges for the world championship. Maybe a mysterious masked wrestler appears.
Fuego Dos.
No, not even Fuego Dos. Like a brand new persona that Cody would make up. That for some reason his mask also has like a neck covering to cover his neck tattoo. And for some reason he has like a nipple strap over his dream tattoo. And he just comes in one night, wins the belt, and then reveals that it's been Cody and Brandy all along.
Like Hulk Hogan with what was it, Mr. America or whatever the fuck it was.
Exactly.
That would be hilarious.
Exactly like that. Like we have teases. We don't know if it's Cody. We suspect, but there's no for
Except
sure.
that if you're gonna go the Mr. America route, like it was so painfully obvious that was Hulk Hogan. That would be even funnier to do it like that.
His neck tattoo is even worse now. He's got
Just like it's just like glaring.
He just put even more tattoos on his neck. He's like, no, Cody only has one. I have 5. What are you talking about? I'm all neck tattoos.
Yeah.
Oh
yeah. Good stuff.
I have been your host, Steven.
And I have been your non-binary world champion, D-Rock.
And remember, kids, when life gives you the inner circle, you make the Jericho Appreciation Society out of it. Yeah.
Hail Thunder.
Hail Thunder.
Vundacast? Give it up for Vundacast, man. What an adorable name.
You're listening to the Vundacast.
What's up, everybody? This is Jason David Frank, Green Ranger. You're listening to Vundacast.
Subscribe to the Vundacast.